Right now, years after Jeffrey Epstein died in that Manhattan jail cell, his shadow is still moving through American politics. We have court filings, flight logs, visitor records, and now thousands of pages of internal emails and calendars. On their own, most of these documents look dry, like office paperwork. Together, they raise a different question. Not who is on a list, but who stayed close even after they knew better.
Well, Major, I think it reinforced the research that I did on my book that Jeffrey Epstein has always viewed himself as smarter than everybody else, and he also has collected people all along the way, particularly over the 2 decades through his trafficking. And that was always to get secrets and bits of information about individuals that he could pass to other people. He trafficked in this.
For a long time, the story sounded simple. Epstein was painted as a lone monster, a disgraced financier who fooled everyone around him. That version of events is tidy and comforting. It lets powerful people say they were tricked, just like everyone else. But when you read through the newer material, a more uncomfortable pattern shows up. Even after Epstein's first conviction in 2008, he did not disappear. He kept meeting with politicians, professors, billionaires, and trusted advisors from both parties. According to reporting on his calendars and emails, some of those meetings were casual lunches. Others were carefully scheduled trips to private islands, Manhattan townhouses, and European cities. The exact motives behind every single meeting are still unclear, and in many cases they will probably stay that way. But one thing is hard to miss. If Epstein was truly radioactive, his calendar did not get the memo.
In the emails, it is quite clear that Jeffrey Epstein had a wide, almost incalculably wide circle of associates. People who were celebrities, people who were either in foreign governments or leaders of foreign governments, business tycoons, and the like.
The political side is where it gets especially tense. Publicly, both Democrats and Republicans have tried to shove Epstein into the other camp. One side says he was a Trump problem, the other says he was a Clinton problem. In reality, the records show him orbiting around people connected to multiple administrations. Not always the presidents themselves, but the people who guard their schedules, shape their messaging, and manage their legal risks. Think about that for a moment. If you cannot get the president in a room, you talk to the person who approves the guest list, or the lawyer who explains what is legal and what is not. Those are exactly the kinds of figures who appear again and again in the calendars. Former White House lawyers, ambassadors, senior staffers, and big firm partners who went straight from government into corporate boardrooms.
There have also been more cases filed in court with those accusers attempting to go after potential co-conspirators.
That's exactly right, Whit. 2 more women are suing Epstein's estate. They say they were recruited by an unnamed Epstein employee. Now, this is in addition to the lawsuit filed against Epstein's longtime friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is also accused of recruiting for him.
To be clear, being in the same room as Epstein is not a crime. Many people who crossed paths with him insist that their meetings were about philanthropy, business, or introductions to other wealthy clients. Some say they walked away once they understood the full scope of the allegations. Others say they had no idea anything criminal was happening at all. There is no single line in the documents that suddenly proves a hidden pact between Epstein and any specific administration. But if you read enough of the material, one theme keeps coming back. Epstein wanted leverage. He introduced himself as the man who knew everybody. He offered connections, investments, and access. In private messages, he reportedly hinted at what he knew about certain leaders, how reckless some of them had been, and how dangerous that information could be if it ever surfaced. He did not need to say the word blackmail out loud. The implication hung in the air. This is where the presidential angle stops being partisan and starts being structural. If you are a rising politician or a senior aide hoping to stay in that world, someone like Epstein can look useful. He can host donors in a private room. He can seat you next to a foreign businessman who wants to invest in your favorite project. He can fund a think tank talk or arrange a flattering magazine profile. On paper, none of that is illegal. In practice, it creates quiet debts. We have seen versions of this story before. In one era, it was corrupt lobbyists. In another, it was foreign intelligence officers posing as fixers. In the Epstein era, it was a convicted predator who should have been nowhere near people in charge of shaping public policy. The most troubling part is not that his name appears in elite calendars before 2008. It is that it keeps appearing after that first plea deal, when everyone in power had every reason to stay away. Surrounding all of this, there is another layer: the rumors. Fringe shows and anonymous forums have spent years pushing claims about secret affairs, hidden identities, and mysterious deaths. In many cases, those theories target the same handful of public figures over and over. Some of the claims, like the idea that a comedian was taken out for making an off-color joke, have been thoroughly contradicted by official investigations and malpractice suits. Others, like allegations from convicted fraudsters, have never been backed up by solid evidence. Still, these stories do not die. Every time a new Epstein document drops, old clips resurface. A sidewalk joke from 2014 is reposted as proof. A lie detector failure from 2008 is reframed as heroic whistleblowing. A random tabloid headline turns into a week-long trend on social media. The reality is that the human brain loves patterns. When people are already convinced that elites are hiding something, almost any coincidence can start to look like part of a script. Meanwhile, the public image of these same leaders is carefully polished. Former presidents post anniversary photos and long birthday tributes. Former first ladies launch podcasts about marriage, grief, and parenting. When they describe strain in their relationships, some viewers hear honesty and feel seen. Others hear weakness and start to speculate about divorce, betrayal, and secret lives. Commentators jump in on both sides. Therapists warn that mocking those conversations can make it harder for regular people to talk about their own pain. The nuance often gets lost in the noise. This is the weird tension at the heart of the Epstein files. On one hand, there are hard facts, court records, plea deals, convictions, and detailed accounts from victims. On the other, there is a cloud of speculation about what various presidents, prime ministers, and celebrities must have known. The documents we have today do not fully answer that question. They do, however, show how close some of their trusted advisors stood to a man whose entire life revolved around exploiting access. So what do we actually know for sure? We know that Epstein used his money and connections to move through the highest levels of politics, finance, and media. We know that some people cut ties once his crimes became public, and others did not. We know that his calendars place him in private settings with figures who later insisted the relationship was minor. We know that victims have accused him and his inner circle of systematic, organized abuse. We also know that not every rumor about every politician holds up when you compare it to the factual record. What we do not know is just as important. We do not know exactly what was said behind closed doors when a former government official sat down at his table. We do not know how many introductions were made or what favors were quietly exchanged. We do not know which emails and messages never made it into public view. The exact details are unclear, and in some cases, they may never surface. That uncertainty is the space where both honest questions and wild conspiracy theories grow. As more pages are released under transparency laws and more sealed material is challenged in court, the story is going to keep shifting. Some claims will be debunked, others will be confirmed. A few people who seem peripheral today may end up right at the center of future investigations. The safest conclusion right now is not that one party is guilty and the other is pure. It is that a man like Epstein could only move the way he did because people in many corners of power were willing to look the other way. So I want to hear from you. When you look at the timelines and the emails we have so far, do you see a few bad judgments or a deeper culture of protection around powerful friends? Do you think we are close to the full truth or still only seeing the parts someone wants us to see? Tell me in the comments below. If you want more long-form breakdowns like this, where we actually read the documents and separate what is confirmed from what is rumored, make sure you subscribe before you go. This story is still unfolding, and the next release could change what we think we know about how power really works behind the scenes.